renowned influential winemakers, consultants in the business. Also a bit of an iconoclast, which
I'm a bad man.
So some of his accolades, Wine Business Monthly named him 2016 Innovator of the Year. And among the 48 most influential people in wine in 2018. If you're not familiar with his one of his bigger works or his publications, Postmodern Winemaking. I got a copy of it. It's one of those books where, I mean, if you want, there's kind of the conventional wisdom, the easy answer, kind of the basics, rudimentary. But if you really want to do a deep dive, know all the chemistry and all that, and make your head spin, but you'll still walk away, a little more enlightened. And,
This is all the things they taught me at school that just ain't so.
So, and that was Wine, Spirits, and Magazine's 2013 Book of the Year. He also has a short course, Winemaking Fundamentals Made Easy, so it's meant to basically replace, well, not replace, but it's kind of like an enology degree without having to go through the whole UC Davis, curriculum. So that's, there's some brochures up here, there's courses and some other information. Also, if you need a wine glass, there's some up here that Clark brought. And so, yeah, with that, I'll hand it off to Clark and we'll get into it.
Thank you very much for having me. I really, there are a number of reasons why I like to talk with home winemakers. First of all, you have the potential to make better wine than is available commercially. And I'll talk about that at the end of the talk. But you also don't think you already know it all. So you're teachable, and that's kind of nice. I hate variable capacity tanks. Don't you? I hate those things. And now I've got a way that you can throw that lid away. And anyway, well, I'll go into more detail about exactly why I hate them, but I think you know. And I also hate breakdown cooperage. And we've got a way to make that go away too. For a small commercial winery, I'll make 10 barrels of Cabernet. What have I got 3 months later? I got a top, right? And everybody's gone down a liter or two, so now I'm left with 9.5 barrels. So I break it all down into something that looks like that. And then here's my process. I break it down so that everything's topped up, and then I put it on a pallet right in the middle of where the forklift comes by, and then what I do is I drive the forklift around until I break some of it, and then for the stuff that survives. 6 months later, it all goes to vinegar, and I take it out and throw it away. That's my system. So, Vijay came up with this thing called a smart barrel, and it's basically a bag and a barrel, like a bag in a box. It's got a dip tube. You actually take an old beat up barrel and you cut a hole that's 9 inches on the side, and it supports the dip tube, and then there's a bag that goes and fills out the whole barrel, and then you use that to top the other barrels, and the bag just shrinks, and maybe you use 3/4 of it, and then when you go to bottle, you add that to the batch. There's no head space, and it's kind of clever because the dip tube is perforated all the way up, so that means that it'll draw from the top, and the bag contracts, and then you don't get the leaves until the end. So it's kind of clever. And there's a setup to do this in just a regular plastic drum, where it's vertical instead of horizontal, And they also make them for, I like to make 4 barrels, I like to make 2-ton lots. So he has a 330-gallon Smartliner that I'll use for, when I'm done with my barrel aging, I'll just put everything in one bag so that it's ready to bottle.
The bags, it's a single-use bag?
Yeah, everything he makes is single use. $27.50 a bag. So then, similarly, here's those fucking, you know what I'm talking about. You know, they go out around, you make a choice about whether you want the lid to sit right on the wine, in which case it leaks up into the gaskets and you get VA, or you can put it just above the wine so you have a headspace you can't control, and then you get film growth, and you know what I'm talking about. So what Vijay says is just throw the lid away and use the tank as a support. Unless you just want to use a garbage can or something, you know, there's nothing great about it, but it works the same way. It's got this dip tube, and it's just the same idea. The only problem is he doesn't make the in-between size, and he doesn't make, like, 60 gallons is as small as he goes. Now, you could still put 25 gallons on that, it'd be fine. But he does make little tiny ones. So I do own a few Dexters that are plastic tanks for, they look like shampoo bottles from Flex Tank. But anyway, this is a great solution if that size works out for you. There are a number of reasons why I like to talk with home winemakers. First of all, you have the potential to make better wine than is available commercially. You wouldn't believe how much time winemakers spend trying to conform to the regulations so that the wine sounds good from what's on the label. You got to keep within the vintage restriction or no one will buy it. You got to keep varietal and vineyard composition and all that stuff. And you end up making a lot of bad choices because you're more interested, since in most cases people can't taste the wine, they can all they know is what's on the label, so that's really what you're selling is the hype and not the quality. You don't have a market. And you probably don't realize what a blessing it is that you don't have to kiss somebody's ass that you've never even met. So you don't have those restrictions. You know, the great wines of Louis Martini were made back in an era when you could put 49% Petit Syrah in the Barbera, and it was a great wine. And as soon as they cut that back to 24%, it wasn't as good. When they changed the definition of, varietal persona. Like I said, you can make what you like. You have no market that you have to cater to except yourself. You have the freedom to experiment. I mean, basically, if your wine goes south, nobody dies. You're not trying to feed your family, and hopefully you learn something, because thought is born of failure. When I teach at advanced winemaking at Napa Valley College, I just throw them to the dogs. I say, here's the grapes, knock yourself out. You want to make the greatest wine in the world, I want you to fuck up every way there is, because then you'll learn something. And so this is one of the reasons that you guys are learning at a faster pace than winemakers can, commercial winemakers can, because you can take risks and nobody dies. You don't have sterile filtration, we talked about that. And then there's the cooperative sharing that gives you access to a lot of these technologies that we talked about here. And God bless you for it.